What's going on, guys? I haven't been answering all your questions as much as I should have, so I'm going to try to answer some of your questions. First question comes from Miguel Villarreal. He has a 2007 Acura TL Type S. Took it to a shop and had a sub installed. Wanted to keep everything factory. Put a ported box in there, with Fosgate, and a Performance Techniques amp. All right, pretty basic, easy install. The problem he has is he gets a feedback. When the car is between 1,000 and 2,000 RPMs, he gets a subwoofer bass feedback. I know what this problem is. I've ran into this problem and it's driven me crazy before. There's a video that we put up of Acura TL Type S that we did a full system in. Same kind of situation. Wanted to keep the factory deck in there. We added amp, speakers, and sub. And then we had that feedback problem. It's only when you close the doors. If you open the door, it goes away. And if you close it and you rev it up a little bit, it just goes, stops. And when you're driving, it's only at a certain RPM. When you're driving, stops like that. It'll drive you nuts. But come to find out that there is, that car has ambient noise cancellation is one of the features that car offers from the factory. And to do that, they have microphones in the headliner. So to cancel out any noise. So the stereo system cancels out noise somehow. But what you have to do is, I think there's one in the front and one in the back in your dome light area, I believe. There's little vents, little microphone in there. Pop that down, unplug it. One in the back somewhere. It's pretty obvious where they are because there's a little vent grill. Pull that down, unplug both of those microphones, and your problem will be solved. And next question is, this guy he replaced his four door speakers. This comes from Highlands County. It's a username on YouTube. Replaced his four coaxial door speakers. He says they measure 3 ohms, 3 ohm load, but the amp he's installing says either 2 or 4 ohms. Okay, basically, your amp is 2 ohm stable. You don't want to go below 2 ohms. Okay, the lower the impedance, the more power your amp's going to put out. But if you go below 2 ohms, it's just going to shut off and have problems where you could damage your amp. Your speakers that you put in are probably advertised as a 4 ohm speaker, but the good thing about them actually metering out at 3 ohms is that you're going to get a little bit more power out of them than a 4 ohm speaker. You know, that's why the JL Audio woofers back in the day, they used to measure around 3 ohms. And the good thing about that is if you took your Rockford Fosgate 4 ohm 12-inch woofer out of your box and you put a JL woofer in, it would sound better because the impedance was lower, so you're getting more power out of your amp. That's one of the reasons that made them a really popular woofer, because you just swap the woofer out and it sounds better. And you can run them in 3s and do all kinds of other stuff. But yeah, 3 ohms is good. Don't worry about it. And this guy has an AVH P5200 DVD. This is Jim Beam Alcohol on YouTube. Pioneer 5200 DVD, any way to hook up the USB from the back instead of the front. There is a USB adapter out there for Pioneer. It basically takes IP bus, goes to a box, has USB. So I think that'll work. I'm not 100% sure. So you're just going to have to look it up and try it. Or I'll try it next time I have one out. Or you can call Pioneer Tech. But yeah, there is one out there, just so you know. I just passed off the question. I said, I don't know, call Pioneer Technical. But I think it works. All right, this is from Muzion666. Optical out, bit 1. He saw the optical out of the iPad. He already has a bit 1, complete Audison setup. He wants to know if he can get optical out or coax out with the iPod 7th gen 160 gig. So it's probably an iPod Classic. I have lossless audio. Awesome. Okay, this is going to be good. Get the Onkyo, ONKYO, NDS1. It takes iPod right in the top, and it gives you optical out. So you get the Onkyo NDS1. You gotta order it from Japan. They don't sell them in the States. Just go on eBay, look for someone that's a reputable reseller of it, buy it, and then you want to get an extension cable. So put the Onkyo somewhere, plug it into your iPod, or you could go ahead and get like Dice Electronics makes an awesome little cradle that your phone or your iPod just slips in. It has a dock on the bottom, plugs in, has a female dock on the back. So you can take that dock, mount it somewhere, slide your iPod in it, and you can run an extension cable from the back of the iPod to the NDS1. That way you could hide the NDS1. Now the NDS1 is made to run off your house, so you're going to have to do some sort of power inverter. And when it turns on, you have the problem of having to actually turn the NDS1 on and switch it to iPod. So what I did, the brick for the house takes it drops it down to 5 volts. What I did is I took an old Sirius satellite radio, because those also drop down to 5 volts, and it's a cigarette lighter plug. So I took that, cut it off, hooked it up to the Onkyo NDS1. That way it's at least going from 12 volts to 5 volts instead of 110 AC down to 5 volts DC. We're just going 12 volts DC to 5 volts DC. And then I measured the current draw on it because I was thinking that I don't want to get in and turn mine on and off all the time. Measured the current draw, barely draws anything. So I just hooked it up constant. It's on all the time. I tried it out, works great. I left on vacation for a week. Truck still started when I got back, so that's a good sign. So I would do that and not worry about it. Man, I'll tell you what, optical out of an iPod from that Onkyo NDS1 into a Bit1 is insane. It's awesome, dude. You're gonna love it. Okay, this comes from Good Stuff 101. Will MPR 2000 power 3 JLTW5s? The MPR 2000 is a giant Alpine amp rated at 2000 watts. And that amp is sick. That's a good big amp for not a ton of money. Shops usually sell them for around $700. You could probably find them real cheap on the internet, but you want to make sure you get it from an authorized dealer. Any car audio stuff, man, you guys got to get from a dealer that's authorized, you know. You may not get the rock bottom, super low, too good to be true price, but you can still get a good deal and still maintain a warranty and not have to worry about it. Because I see it every day. People buying stuff off eBay or some like non-legit site, and they're getting screwed. So yeah, get that amp and run it to your TW5s. The TW5s probably would take more power, but I would just run the 2000. They're good. This guy wants to put 213 TW5s in his truck, needs an amp. This is the same guy. Alright. This guy has a Crunch Ground Pounder 16.1. He has it running at 2 ohms on a 15-inch Fosgate P2. The amp's running at 15.5 volts, which sounds a little high to me. While driving, the voltage drops to 13.8. You gotta have either an upgraded alternator or something, because usually a car idling will run at 14.4, drop down to around 12. But that's good. So you got 13.8 volts. The amp's getting so hot, it says it's running at 130 degrees. It didn't get hot running at 1 ohm. I was wondering if you have any suggestions. It had to have got, this is from NextRider123, it had to have got hot at 1 ohm. Maybe not as hot. It should have been hotter. Check your ground. Make sure you got a good chassis ground. Scrape the paint away, drill a hole, nut and bolt straight to the floor. That amp, if it's 1600 watts, that should have 0 gauge. You know, some of the Crunches don't have a true power rating. So, might have a 4 gauge on it. Make sure it has the same thickness of wire on the power and ground. But yeah, man, I mean, a big amp like that's going to get hot. If it's a kind of a cheaper amp, they're not as efficient. So a lot of the energy that it's converting to make wattage, a lot of that's going to get wasted in heat if it's an inefficient amplifier. You know, so really efficient amplifiers run cool, they run great, and they're really expensive. Um, Cheaper, big powerhouse amps, they're not as efficient. So you're going to get a little bit of power loss and it's going to be really hot. But the advantage of doing those is it's a lot cheaper. It's affordable. So I would just go through, check the basic things, you know, and then not worry about it. You know, I've had amps run so hot you could fry an egg on them, and they run fine. As long as you're not running into problems with it shutting off and stuff, I wouldn't worry about it. This guy is spammer. Okay. All right, we're getting down to the everything correctly. Now I live in Germany. Website not displayed. Can't see the website. That's not good. And these I responded to. Okay, cool. So, sorry I haven't been answering questions as much. I've just been really busy. Posting the forum though on the website because I have other people in there besides myself that could answer your questions, and there's a lot of good people in there, you know. So keep hitting me up on YouTube, hit up our forum, check our stuff out, and subscribe. Thanks, guys. See ya.